Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Father's Day to all the important fathers. Today is the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year, so everybody can have a longer time to celebrate us. Celebrate us, gift us, mow the yard for us, wash the truck for us. Get to go to the restaurant we have to go to, we want to go to. Our day. Take a nap, maybe. That is no small thing. There's my segue. That's what we're talking about today. There are no small things. When it comes to the Lord, His Word, His instructions for us, how we're to live in accordance with His Word, not just how we worship, but how we live our lives outside the church building. And I know it can seem sometimes overwhelming, that type of thought, that there's nothing that's not important. Because every word He's spoken is prepared. It was given to us for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. And in being the creator of all things, everything He says is important. And since I've been in school, I've come to appreciate an instructor who can get through, at least my head, a certain point that you're trying to get through. Maybe just in a class, or it may take the whole quarter to get something through to us. That occurred to me in restoration history class that I had. He kept talking about, we would go over these men of the restoration movement here in America, and he would talk about how they had lost their wife in childbirth, or their wife had got a disease and she passed away, and he was left with these kids, but he still kept on preaching. And he kept going over as we went through these different men, this tragedy that happened to him, and I was thinking, okay, that's bad. It's a tragedy, and they it's bad any time that happens. And then toward the end of class, it finally occurred to me that these men kept plugging away. They kept preaching. They kept writing. And I kind of started to see things through their eyes. If that had happened to me, they never stopped. They kept on going. They kept on preaching and writing and debating. And it finally got through to me, and I had to tell a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh yeah," he said the same thing happened to me. He said it took us getting through 3 or 4 guys before it finally hit me. It's the perseverance of getting through. And before we go into all these small things, or things that are not small, success to the Lord is not perfection. Success is not giving up. It's continuing to be faithful in good circumstances and bad. So, for whom has despised the day of small things? And in the context of that, there are no small things. For instance, we'll go to the first one. There are no little kindnesses. There are many little things that if they are missed from our lives, they'll be empty. And things will seem out of proportion. Among them are things like simple kindnesses like hospitality, brotherly love. Peter said, "And above all things, have fervent love for one another. For love will cover a multitude of sin. Be hospitable to one another without grumbling." 1 Peter 4, 8 and 9. There was an older preacher who told a younger preacher, he said, "Remember this always. Every person to whom you speak is carrying some kind of burden, some kind of a load. It might be mentally, it might be spiritually, it might be in their family, in their work, in their health. Everybody has got something going on that's weighing them down. And if we can remember when we associate with people every day how their hearts ache for a small smile, a small compliment, a word of encouragement, a little help, some sympathy, an expression of love. There are no little kindnesses, but if we fail to render them, the consequences could be great in a negative way. There's a story I read about, it deals with World War II, and I tried to verify it. I didn't dig real deep, didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. I don't know for sure it is 100% true, but this is a story I read about. There was a general who'd been imprisoned in World War II by the enemy, and his wife sent him a letter every day. And he was lucky enough that wherever this POW camp was at, that they allowed him to receive these letters. And when she had put a thread in every letter, and it was like a token of home. I don't know if the threads were from a piece of her clothing or a piece of a rug from the house or what, but she was sending him a little piece of home every day in every letter. Well, he took these threads and he braided them, and he was able to make a small rope, and with that rope he made a tourniquet around the two bars, and with a small stick he was able to bend the bars and he was able to escape. And that's the kind of thing, that little thread of kindness that we can do for somebody else, and it can build up over time or by multiple people, acts of kindness or helping, that we can help people escape the uncertainty and then the happiness that they may be going through. 2 Corinthians 1, 3 and 4 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies, the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort others, that we may be able to comfort those who are in trouble with the comfort that which we ourselves are comforted of God." There was a journalist in the early 19th century, Christopher Morley. He said, if we suddenly discover that if we had only 5 minutes left to say all that we wanted to say, every telephone booth would be occupied by people trying to call up the people that they love and stammer that message to them. So let's not wait until we have only 5 minutes left to show our love for those around us. There are no little talents. Sometimes we feel like we can't do much, and so we do nothing. Some may think, if I can't preach, if I can't lead, if I can't be a teacher, if I can't wait on the Lord's table, I won't do anything. One illustration was given Paul from Damascus in Acts 9, 23 and 25. Paul's on the wall here, and the mob of people are crying for his blood, for what he's been preaching. And at this time, Paul, he had written no books. He had completed no missionary journeys in his life. He had only preached a few times. And if his life was ended at this point, look at all what would have been not done for the Lord's church. So how did he escape? Someone came with a rope. Someone came with a basket. Basket was tied to the rope. Paul steps in and they lower him down. And he's able to escape because of a simple rope and basket. Humble, functional, utilitarian items now and even more so in that time. What if these craftsmen had said, my occupation's not worth much. I make rope. I make a basket. People buy it from me. They use it up, and then they have to buy another one from me. Big deal. What difference do I make in anybody's life? If they don't get it from me, they'll get it from somebody else. But in this instance, Think of the importance. We would have missed out on 2/3 of the New Testament had Paul been killed at this time and not been able to escape because somebody made a rope and somebody made a basket. Anytime you may begin to feel small or insignificant, think about a sign that was seen in England in a church building, and it hung above a copy of the Ten Commandments. We don't have PowerPoint for me to show you these two words, but I'll spell them out. Spell out the two words. It'll seem nonsensical. PRSVRY PRFCTMN. And then the second word is VRKPTHSPRCPTSTN. And it hung there, those two words hang above the Old Testament in an old English church for years. And finally a little boy figured it out. It was missing the letter E. One little letter. So when you insert the letter E, this is how it reads. Persevere, ye perfect men, ever keep these precepts 10. The small, insignificant, one little letter, the difference it makes in our understanding, in our motivation of a phrase like this. There is a place for you in society. There is a place for you in the church. And if you do not fill it, 2 Samuel 20:18 will be made true, is that you will be missed. If you're doing the best you can, do not be ashamed. Jesus paid Mary one of the highest compliments when he told her in Mark 14:8, she has done what she could. God asks no more of us. There is a piece of a speech. It was given by Nelson Mandela after he had got out of prison. It was his acceptance speech for his presidency of that part of South Africa. And it's often attributed to him, but it was written by Mary Ann Williamson. And it's a poem. It doesn't rhyme. It's one of those kind of poems. It's called Our Deepest Fear. And I think it goes along with what we just covered. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people the permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. There are also no little decisions. This point made manifest here. A man was asked how he and his wife had been able to live so harmoniously for so many years. And he said, well, when we first married, my wife and I agreed I would make all the big decisions. She would make all the little decisions. And he said, well, sir, we've been married almost 30 years now, and we haven't made one big decision yet. He said, one of a brother said in class, be careful when you make your decisions. For too often the decisions you consider little will undo the decisions you consider big. And he gives this illustration. A boy makes a big decision for a life vocation. He's going to be a doctor. So that big decision's out of the way. It's done. I've made my decision. So it's easy from here on out. I just follow the path. But then he has to make some little decisions. Do I go to the ball game? Or do I study for a test? Well, he goes to the ball game. I can make up the grade later. Do I go to a party? Or do I take a rest that I need so I'll be ready for the class tomorrow? Well, I might as well have a good time while I'm young. I can always sleep in the morning some other time and catch up. Well, he does sleep in and he misses class. So these little decisions, you can guess the rest. When the time came for medical school, his grades weren't where they needed to be. So those little decisions made that big decision for him. I hope that we do not fall into this same trap spiritually. There is a big decision that we must make. Like Joshua said in Joshua 24:15, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. So you may make that decision to be baptized and feel good about it. That big decision is taken care of. It's done. But then the next day, there's a chance to make a little extra money on the side. Well, the deal may be a little shady, maybe a little unethical, but I need the money. I mean, the price of groceries and gas is crazy nowadays. And then someone that you work with, a friend, has a baby, and you're at the restaurant with them, and everybody's drinking, and one couldn't hurt. Nobody will ever know. They don't know what's in my hand. Everybody else is drinking, and on and on and on. So when the time of reckoning comes, depart from me, I never knew you. Making the decision to obey the Lord isn't just one big decision that you make. As Joshua said, you choose this day whom you will serve. And then tomorrow, you choose this day whom you will serve. And the next day, you choose who you will serve. And as we make little decisions, day by day, to do the Lord's will, the big decision's taken care of. Whether they're secular, worldly decisions or religious decisions, there are far-reaching consequences. So we need to make them carefully with forethought in mind, because there are no little decisions. There are no little sins. It's been said that a little sin is the one I commit. A big sin is when you do the same thing. If there's anything that's true that we know, and I think can be agreed upon, is there are no little sins. Some of the sins that God definitely did not think were not a big deal in God's sight. Adam and Eve eating one bite of fruit in Genesis 3. Moses striking the rock instead of speaking to it in Numbers 20. Uzzah reaching out to steady the ark and touching it, 2 Samuel 6. And the Israelites using brick, man-made brick, instead of unhewn stone to make their sacrifices in Isaiah 65. Ecclesiastes says, dead flies putrefy the perfumer's ointment and cause it to give off a foul odor. So does a little folly to the one that's respected for wisdom and honor. And also, in Song of Solomon 2:15, the little foxes are the ones that spoil the vine. and I think the one that hits me the hard anyway is 2 Kings 10:18. Ahab served Baal a little bit, and that's all it takes. If we're lost, it's not because of some big sin like murder, theft, or adultery, or drunkenness. It'll be the little things that get us. Stinginess, selfishness, apathy, laziness, failure to attend as we should. Someone expressed it in a bulletin article titled "Just a Little," and I can put my name in here many times myself. The members sleep a little late. They enter class a little tardy. During services, they chew gum a little, laugh a little, talk a little, mark in their songbook a little, listen to the sermon just a little, and then give just a little. Then they go home and forget what little they learned. The rest of the week is spent in a little work and a little gossip, and people act like they are but a little, they care for but a little for the church that Christ established. I may have exaggerated a little, but very little. And in some things I have omitted a little. Won't you think on these things a little and stop being little? There's a man being examined for a life insurance policy. And they asked him if all his brothers and sisters were alive. And he said, yes, they are. And when they asked him if his father was alive, he said, well, no, my dad's dead. Well, what did he die of? The doctor asked. And this guy, he wanted the policy, protect his family in case something happened to him. And the applicant replied, he said, I don't know, but it wasn't anything serious. Pray that God of heaven, that we wouldn't lose our souls over something that wasn't very serious. Little termites, little, do $30 billion worth of damage each year. And little sins eat away at our soul the same way. There are no little sins. Julia Carney wrote this poem. And this one does rhyme. This is a real poem. Little drops of water, little grains of sand, make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. So the little moments, humble though they be, make the mighty ages of eternity. So our little errors lead the soul away from the path of virtue, far in sin to stray. Little deeds of kindness, little words of love, help to make earth happy like heaven above. There are no little things. There are no little commandments in the book that we read, the Bible. There are 3 words that are small, and they may seem small because they are but a few letters. And, unto, if. But when these little words are used in God's Word, they take on a much greater meaning. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, Mark 16:16. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life, Revelation 2:10. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not lose heart, Galatians 6:9. So let's not deceive ourselves. We need to obey God in all things, even little things, John 14:15. Accept Christ, accept God's commands. His gift of love is laid out before us in His words. We can become a child of God and be able to access the blessings that are only available to children of God. Peace, love, joy, faithfulness. Those things may seem like you can have them outside of Christ, but there is a completely different meaning and depth to them when you are a child of God and you have the joy and the assurance of a home in heaven if you remain faithful in that obedience every day, in those little things. Now is your opportunity to come forward. If you need the prayers of this church, we'll be happy to help you in any way we can, to help gird you up, to give you that love, that empathy, that hand up, that help up. If you need to obey the gospel and become a child of God, to have heard the word, believe what it says. There is a world of difference in believing in God. The devils believe in God rather than to believe on God, to trust Him, to render obedience to Him and do what He has told us we must do. He has laid out the rules. He has laid out the path to salvation in His Word. And then be baptized for the remission of sins so you can walk in newness of life and be a member of His church, His body, His kingdom. Those are all synonyms for the same thing. Not this, you can be a member of this physical church building here, this church family of people, but the church, the body of believers worldwide from 33 AD till now. Now you have the opportunity.